Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm back, man, for another video series. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my channel. I'm so excited to be here and be able to share some of this information with you guys. I've been getting a lot of text messages and emails from different individuals, so I'm glad that you guys are liking a lot of the things that you're hearing. Today, I'm gonna address some things that are kind of near and dear to my heart. Some things that I believe that will definitely resonate with you guys, probably something that you're dealing with right now, maybe some experience that you've had in the past. But what I've noticed is that the individuals that I've mentored, have all had something going on, or something that was kind of keeping them from reaching their fullest potential. And, I tell guys all the time, when it comes to business, 80% of it is mental, right? The other 20% just has going to do with your drive and, your desire to become whatever it is that you're trying to become, or for whatever business it is that you're trying to build. But so much of it is mental. And so there are a couple things that I wanted to share with you guys, and hopefully I can maybe turn a light on or just get you to thinking about certain things that may hinder you from reaching, that goal that you may have. So here's a question that I have for you. Well, it's not really so much a question, it's more of just something that I want you to think about. One of two things is going to happen, when you approach this business that you're getting ready to build for yourself. If there's not something physically in front of you, right? Meaning when you have a goal, or something that you're trying to accomplish, if there's not something that's physically in front of you, then it's mental. So your mind is going to either become your weapon or your weakness, right? And I just want you to think about that. So if you don't have some 1,000-foot wall in front of you, right? Like every time you go to accomplish some particular goal, there's literally a 1,000-foot wall out front of your house. And this wall, you've got to scale this wall, and there's broken glass all over the wall, and there's vines growing all over it, and it's oil slicked and all these other things like that. And it's just almost impossible for you to reach your goals. If you were to sit and you were to tell me that, and it was something that I could actually witness, I could understand you not reaching your goals. I could understand you not, reaching your fullest potential. But if that's not happening for you, and it's highly unlikely that that's occurring, then what that tells me is that the 1,000-foot wall that's there is actually in your mind, right? There's a 1,000-foot wall that's in your mind. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about a few things that, may help us to be able to break that wall down. Sometimes in life we build walls around ourselves. Maybe you've been hurt in the past, you've been cheated on or something like that, and sometimes we build walls, and with those walls we expect for people to do certain things, right? To prove to us that they're worthy of our heart or our love or something like that. So I kind of can understand that. But with those walls, you've got to understand that sometimes we build those walls not so much to keep others out, but we build those walls to see who cares enough about us to actually tear those walls down. So I want to talk to you guys about Samsara. And because Samsara is so important. I know you may be sitting here right now, you may be thinking, well, what is Samsara? I don't need to know about this. How is this going to have an impact on my life? I promise you, I just need you to listen to me. Just buy this next series of thoughts from me for a moment, and just kind of relax for a second and just listen to what I have to say, because it's going to be very profound. When you think about Samsara, so what is Samsara? Samsara is just negative, bottled up energy that you have inside of you that you haven't released for whatever reason. Maybe you haven't gotten closure. Maybe you were abused as a child. Maybe you grew up in a single parent home to where your dad wasn't there and you don't know why. Maybe you feel, you're the reason he wasn't there. Maybe your mother wasn't there, and you don't understand why, You never got closure on that. You never got the type of answers that you wanted that would have given you that satisfaction of understanding, exactly what it was that took place, right? So, that's kind of what samskara is. Maybe you were in a relationship with somebody, let's say for 5 years, and I'm talking about for 5 years, you gave this guy or you gave this girl the best of you, right? You were honest, you were loyal, you were dedicated, you were committed to the relationship, you gave the relationship everything you had. And you've made, tons of sacrifices. And at the end of the day, that particular individual, for reasons unbeknownst to you, went out and cheated on you. Maybe they even cheated on you and took it as far as cheating on you with like your girlfriend or your buddy. And as a result of that, their reason for doing what they did just didn't sit right with you. So you never got the closure that you should have gotten, and as a result of that, so you have this negative bottled up energy because you haven't released it, right? Well, that's what samskara is. And what samskara has the ability to do is it can turn you into a very cold, dark and really ugly person, right? It can actually change and alter who you are as an individual, right? Because we don't necessarily see the world as it really is. We tend to see the world as we are. So as a result of you dealing with this samskara, now you're seeing the world differently. Now the world isn't so beautiful to you. Maybe you may be riding down the street. Have you ever just been, cruising down the street and you kind of hanging out and doing your own thing? You feel great. It's been a great day. You had a great breakfast. Maybe you went and hit the gym, you worked out a little bit or whatever, and things are just going great. It's great weather outside, and people are out and kids are in the park, and everything is going great, right? And then you just kind of get into this funk, right? You just start feeling blue, and you don't really know why you're feeling blue. You're like, what's wrong with me? Like, everything was just great a minute ago. Well, that's samskara. And what happens is that samskara is just recorded events in your heart chambers, right? That's where that negative energy gets stored, is in your heart chambers. And, if you don't release that samskara, you'll just be, sitting on the couch, hanging out and having fun with the guys or the girls or whatever, and before you know it, you're just in a funk. And you don't even know why. Right? It's the samskara, and what happens is that your subconscious mind controls 90% of your thoughts, right? You have no control over your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind, something may trigger, it may be a song that gets played that maybe was your song. This was like, this is me and my baby's song. We love this song, and you hear that song, and instantly what happens is in the samskara, it records your blood pressure at the time that you found out about, the cheating or whatever it was that went on. It records your blood pressure. It records your heart rate. It records everything about that situation. And then what'll happen is that it'll pop its head back out there, and that rush of feeling that you felt the day you found out that he or she cheated on you is exactly what you're going to feel at that moment. You just won't know where it came from, but now you do, right? So that's what samskara is. So I can give you, tons of business tools and techniques and different things like that to help you become, this individual that can just accomplish anything you want. But at the end of the day, it's so necessary for me to first talk about samskara with you to kind of see if you're mentally prepared for what the future holds. And so, for me, samskara, I dealt with a lot of samskara. I had a lot of issues that I never got closure on, and it was one of those things to where I just needed to get some closure because I needed to get back to me, right? Here it is, I'm in relationships with different people and, my friends and family, and I'm telling these people how much I love them and all these other things like that, and I didn't even love me. Right? So how can I love someone else and I don't even fully love myself? that's kind of what I was battling with at that time. And I kind of felt like, you know, I needed to address some of these things as far as the Samsara, because it was just, you know, that important. And what it'll end up doing is that it'll put us in positions in life to where, you know, we're either going to make a way or we're going to make an excuse. And oftentimes what we'll end up doing is just making excuses for why we didn't accomplish this, or we didn't do that, or whatever. So I just wanted to touch on the Samskaras with you guys. One other thing that I'd like to talk to you guys about is psychological contracts, right? And we all have them. Yes, you sitting at home, the viewer right now, you have psychological contracts on other people. Now, what is a psychological contract, you might ask? Well, a psychological contract is an expectation that you've placed on someone else. And that particular expectation, you know, what causes it to be a psychological contract is that the individual that you've placed the expectation on is oblivious to the fact that you've actually done this. I mean, they are completely unaware that you have placed this expectation on them. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. I mean, you have psychological contracts on your kids, meaning you expect them to do certain things and behave in certain ways that you've maybe never sat down and said, this is how I'd like you to behave in this particular situation. You have psychological contracts on your girlfriend. You have psychological contracts on your boyfriend. You have psychological contracts on the people that you work with, friends, family, and different things like that. So let's say, for example, there's three of us, right? There's you, the viewer, there's me, and we have another buddy sitting here, and his name's Chris, right? Well, you and Chris have a falling out, right? For whatever reason. You guys falling out, and you guys aren't talking anymore. And, you know, I don't have the issue with Chris, but you and I are best friends, and we were friends first, right? Before Chris came into the picture, there was just the two of us. And so I go out with Chris one day and I'm hanging out, we're having a good time. You just so happen to call me and I pick up the phone and I say, hey, I'm hanging out with Chris. And you start to feel some type of way about that, right? That bothers you, right? It bothers you that I didn't tell you that I'm hanging out with Chris, but I don't have to tell you that I'm hanging out with Chris. That's kind of what a psychological contract is. Because you fell out with Chris, you just expect for me automatically to distance myself from Chris as well, because our relationship happened first. And we do that, right? Or you may have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and they go to a bar, and maybe you're an insecure type of guy or an insecure type of girl, and you really don't want that individual talking to anyone else, right? So he or she goes to the bar, they're hanging out, having a good time, and there's guys talking to her or there's girls talking to him, and you walk in and you see that and you're bothered by that. Right? Now, you didn't sit down at the beginning of the relationship and say, hey, you know, this is how I am, I'm jealous type, you know, I'm insecure, I'm whatever. No, you made everything seem like it was great. And now when you see this event taking place, it just bothers you to the core, right? Now you don't want to talk to that person, you're walking around, you have an attitude, and she's like, well, what's wrong with you? You're like, nothing, you know, nothing's going on, whatever. And you just feel some type of way about it. Instead of sitting down and saying, this is who I am, this is how my mind works, and this is what I expect from the relationship, right? Now, she may agree with that or she may not, but the point not to be missed here is that you're giving that opportunity for that to happen. So, you know, psychological contracts, you know, now how do I keep from placing these psychological contracts on other individuals? The only way to do it is to sit down with the individual and say, this is what I expect. You know, I want to have a healthy relationship with you. This is the type of individual that I am, and this is what I expect. Let them sit down with you and share the same things. And then if you could have come to some mutual understanding, or, you know, reach some common ground, great, move forward, have the relationship, and live happily ever after, right? But that's kind of where it's at. So we've got psychological contracts, we've got Samskara, and if you're dealing with any Samskara, I'll be happy to expound on that a little bit deeper and go into it. But in my opinion, almost everyone, at least everyone that I've met, I'll personalize it. At least the individuals that I've met, on some level of all dealt with or are currently dealing with Samsara, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. If there was anything about this video that you enjoyed, if you learned anything new that you didn't know prior to watching the video, please share the video, hit subscribe right now in the bottom right hand corner, and let's get this video out there for some other individuals to have an opportunity to maybe, kind of figure out what's going on with them as well. Have a great day. Thank you.